Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and thank you so much for watching today. So guys, today I want to be talking about solids. Yes, I want to be talking about solids. This video is basically for everybody who is learning, students especially, international students most especially. So I will be talking about general considerations of solids and environmental significance of solids. Alright, so if this is your first time, please do not go without subscribing. Thank you so much for understanding. Also share the information to anybody you think is valuable. Okay, thank you. So in order for you to know what solids are all about, we will be using water, and all matter except water is classified as solid. Alright, if it is not water, it is a solid. And sometimes solids will be defined, or you would be looking at a meaning of something which is let me say a residue upon evaporation, or a substance which is drying up at least 103 to 105 degrees Celsius. Alright, that is to say a solid material is a material that upon evaporation remains on the surface, and maybe that has been dried up for at least 103 to 105 degrees Celsius. Now, most materials that you will see on the earth crust as solids are because of temperature changes, alright, or maybe evaporational changes. And let me say, when evaporation and temperature changes, the material that you find anywhere is called a solid. Alright, and because there are varieties of solids, we have a lot of them: organic solids, or organic materials which are solid, or inorganic materials which are solid. There are various ways to determine the materials or the type of materials. Alright, let me say there are problems or ways to analyze solid materials, or to know if a material is solid, and or if a material has a certain amount or proportion of solids in it. Alright, that's what I'm basically talking about. And some of these ways include dissolves, suspended, volatile, and fixed. Because if you carry out the dissolve method, you are going to get dissolved solids. If you use the suspended method of determination, and also the volatile or fixed solid, those are the type of solid materials that remain. All right, volatile means that they will evaporate very easily, but fixed, they will remain. All right, so when evaporation has occurred and the material that is left after 105 degrees Celsius is called a solid. All right, and there is also something we call total solids in liquids, all right, which consists of dissolved solid and suspended solid. Suspended solids, which consists of non-dissolved solid or non-filtrable solids. All right, what I mean is there are solid materials. All right, for you to know the amount of solid materials in a residue, or let me say in a medium, there is what you are going to find called dissolved solids, and there is what you are going to find called suspended solids. Okay, and the dissolved solids are either filtrable solids, they can be filtered, you understand, and the suspended solids are the non-filtrable. What do I mean here? Suspended means they will rise at for example, if you put a solid material in water, it's going to rise. That is a suspended solid. But for the dissolve, they will go below the bottom of the container. All right, so in essence, total solid, to know the amount of solids present in a particular medium, you have to add the dissolved solid together to the suspended solid. All right, so that is what you need to know. Again, you need to understand that the total amount of dissolved solids in water will pass through a 2.0 micrometer, all right, or a average pore size something. For example, let me bring this normal thing we use in our homes. It is called a sieve, all right, the sieve that we use to sieve flour. If you place flour on the sieve, the flour is going to pass through the holes of the sieve. Okay, so in essence, what they are trying to say is, if you use a filter with 2.0 micrometer, all the dissolved solid materials will pass through, all right, and what is retained on top of the sieve or above is called the total suspended solid. It is suspended, that is why it has been retained, all right. So that is what you need to know. Again, in potable water, most of the material is in the dissolved form, all right, which is a dissolved solid and contains mostly of inorganic salts. That is, most of the dissolved solids in water, all right, water is mostly inorganic salts, and very small amounts of organic matter or dissolved gases will be found there. So let me say, in water bodies, all right, if you go to an ocean or to an open water body, maybe a lagoon, all right, most of the material you will find, the water may not be visible, but it is composed of a lot of inorganic salts and organic matter, all right. So total dissolved solids content in potable water usually ranges from around 1020 to 1000 milligram per liter, all right. So in waters, in essence, when you go to, let me say, if you take a water sample and you want to measure the dissolved solids in it, all right, it's going to be very much compared to the filtrable solids. I hope you understand. That is, the dissolved solids are usually more than the filtrable solids because water contains a lot of inorganic salts and dissolved gases, all right. So that is what this basically means. And sometimes again, for you to analyze total dissolved solids, you have to um, heat them to at least 180 degrees Celsius, all right. You have to heat the water at 180 degrees Celsius to see which is going to dissolve and which is going to remain, or how the evaporation is going to take place, all right. And the higher temperature that you encounter sometimes in dissolved solids is usually removed mechanically from the water, all right. You will use mechanical methods to remove some of this material, and organic matter is very low in concentration when let me say organic matter is very low in concentration because of the drying temperatures that are usually exerted sometimes on solid materials. Okay, so that is what you need to understand. This topic is basically for, let me say, science students or students that will be doing hydrology, or those that will be doing environmental engineering and sciences, students that will be also be doing something related to hardness water, all right. So this is an interesting topic that you guys are going to be treating. So now I will be talking again about volatile and fixed solids. Remember I mentioned that before in the first, I think that was around 5 minutes of this video. So there is something called volatile and fixed solid. Those are solids determined upon domestic waste. That is, you can easily find this type of solids in domestic waste and industrial waste. Sludges, all right. Sludge is the samples that are obtained sometimes from water bodies, mostly waters that look like lagoon water, all right. So you can get most of these solids from domestic waste, industrial waste, sludges, and sometimes they are determined by combustion, all right, by burning, and the tests that will be done, all right, or the procedure is done using organic matter, and the organic matter will be converted to gaseous carbon dioxide and water, all right. That is during volatilization. That's carbon dioxide is the byproduct and water vapor, all right, because remember they are using heat, and the heat is sometimes 550 degrees Celsius, all right. And again, remember I mentioned carbon dioxide and water. You are going to use carbon and you use heat. The procedure is going to be carbon dioxide and water, and sometimes what is being heated is inorganic salts, all right. You can What is usually heated is inorganic salts, which are, let me say, sometimes done at 550 degrees Celsius, all right. Or you use an ammonium compound, all right. An ammonium compound will be, let me say, released during drying of the volatiles, all right. And in this case, what you need to use as a salt, you need to use a salt which is stable, all right. A stable salt needs to be used, and the example of these salts that sometimes you need to use it because it's going to be stable upon heating is called magnesium carbonate, all right. When you react magnesium carbonate with heat of about 350 degrees Celsius, it gives you magnesium oxide, and the byproduct that is given off is carbon dioxide, all right. It's carbon dioxide. And in the determination of the volatile content of suspended solid, dissolved inorganic solids are not a consideration because sometimes they are already being removed during the filtration procedure. I hope you understand me. And remember that the proportion that remains behind as ash during this combustion is non-volatile solids, that is the fixed solids, okay. When this material is heated, calcium carbonate is heated. And now I will be talking about settleable solids, all right. Settleable solids are solids that settles at the bottom of a cone, the Imhoff cone, at 60 minutes, all right. And sometimes they are expressed as milliliter per liter, all right. That's ml per L. And the term that you can use to define a settleable solid is the quantity of sludge that can be removed by primary sedimentation. All right, the materials or the sludge simple settles at the bottom. You remove them; those are primary settleable solids. Okay, and remember we talk of evaporation, volatile solids, we talk of settleable solids and the other form. So now, what are the environmental significance of solids? And you need to understand that the amount of dissolved solids present in water is usually considered in terms of water suitability for domestic use, okay. So that is how it is. But you also need to know that water with a total solid content of less than 500 milligrams per liter is most considerable for such purposes, all right. That is, if it has 500 milligrams per liter of total solids, it is considered for domestic use. I hope you understand. And you also don't need to forget that a higher total solid content impact waste to the water as well, all right, and often has a laxative or maybe sometimes a reverse effect upon humans or whose bodies are not of you understand what I mean. That's if the total solid content impacts taste, the water is going to have a problem on the human. That is the environmental significance, all right. And water with high dissolved solid content to on glassware and has adverse irritative problems to crops and plants as well. And again, many areas of, let me say, industries sometimes face this solid water issues because sometimes you may not find the correct amount of water. That is why purification usually comes in. And another environmental significance of solid suspended solid contains of water discharge before and after treatment to natural water generally regulated. All right, that is if you are looking for the water that is going to be discharged, or let me say water from industries, if you must discharge them, you must also treat them, all right, and regulate them in order to avoid more environmental problems to the to especially the humans, all right. And suspended solids sometimes float and form unsightly scum layers or sink and cause sediments to build up, especially on water bodies, all right. If you go to an area, let me say a polluted river or a polluted environment that has been spewed with oil, you will realize that most of the sediments on top of the water is called has settled, because remember oil is heavier than water, is denser, sorry, less dense than water, therefore it's going to rise on top of water and form a scum, all right. So